Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, today I want to talk about the future of Dr. Vegapunk. And so guys, if you follow my channel, you know I've shared my thoughts on Vegapunk in the past. But after having experienced Whole Cake Island, we've been here for the entire ride. I've speculated things from large and small and everything in between. And at this point it has me doubting what it is that I previously believed about Vegapunk. So the process for this theory is going to be very strange, guys. It's not going to be like my normal theories. But I'll try and convey it in a way that is understandable. But to explain this theory, I have to first explain why it is so hard to believe. But anyway, guys, Vegapunk was first mentioned in the story at the end of the Enies Lobby arc by Kobe. I believe that was when he was first mentioned. And so for a while within the community there was a lot of debate as to, when Vegapunk would show up into the story, what he would be like. It seemed really open-ended because we did not know much. But over time, the amount of speculations, the diversity of these speculations decreased. That is because the community began to hold onto and grip onto what became a consensus theory. Dr. Vegapunk is in fact a part of the Revolutionary Army. And so given the Revolutionary Army's ideals and their objectives, then it must be true that Vegapunk, whatever he might do on the surface, is deep down inside a good guy. And when it comes time for him to be a part of this story, he will end up being the Straw Hats' ally of some kind. And so why exactly do people believe this? This theory is incredibly simple and has everything to do with Vegapunk's actions during and before the time skip. We don't know a lot about Vegapunk, but we know that Kuma entrusted Vegapunk to program him to protect the Straw Hats' ship, the Thousand Sunny, during the time skip in Sabaody. If you guys remember in Sabaody, Kuma ended up saving the Straw Hats by sending them to various islands. And at that time, he still had a bit of his own personality left intact. But sometime between the events here in Sabaody and the war in Marineford, Kuma lost the entirety of his personality, the entirety of his own will. And this was something that he expected to occur because he specifically told Rayleigh that it would happen. He said, "I do not have much time left." And so Chopper has this to say, but then he couldn't possibly have known what we would do after he'd sent us off to all those different places. Did he wait with the ship despite that, even though his personality was gone? And Frankie says this: "The man responsible for his restructuring, Dr. Vegapunk, had allowed him to include a single mission of his own in the programming. To protect the ship of the Straw Hat Pirates until the day one of their members returns. That's why for the past 2 years, despite having none of his original memories, he's been following the orders of his former self, waiting until the day we came back." So if Vegapunk was responsible for programming Kuma in order to ensure that he had this mission, then Vegapunk in a way is an accomplice to Kuma in protecting the Straw Hat Pirates. And if you really sit down and think about it, it's really interesting. If the world government assumed that these Straw Hats were going to return, then why would they allow them to keep their ship? And if they assumed that these Straw Hat Pirates were not going to return, then it would be almost impossible for them to ever have use for Kuma again, because the mission specifically stated that he would wait until a member of the Straw Hats returned. Meaning if none returned, then he would be waiting there forever. I think that this mission was a big deal. I think giving Kuma, programming in this mission for Kuma was a big deal, and yet Kuma trusted Vegapunk in order to follow through. And he did. I think that the easy thoughts here, the impression that Oda is giving us is that Vegapunk is not that bad of a guy. And I think simultaneously it invites questions and speculation about Vegapunk and Kuma's relationship. And I also think that this obviously leads into one of the greatest questions about Kuma. Kuma started off as a Revolutionary Army commander of some kind. He joined the Shichibukai for some reason. And throughout this entire process, he remained loyal to the Revolutionary Army. Yet he was willing to give up his memories, his personality. Every trace of his relationship and his loyalties to the Revolutionary Army seemingly erased by his own choosing. Why? If Kuma was a revolutionary, wouldn't he be in a more powerful position, stationed as a Shichibukai with access to the world government? Given that they seemingly don't know that he's a revolutionary. Doesn't that make more sense than giving up all of your memories and your ability to act on your own will? And let's put on our tinfoil hat for a moment. Maybe there are extenuating circumstances involving Kuma which force his hand. Maybe say that he has a family or a village that he wants to protect, that his identity was revealed to the world government, they realized that he was a revolutionary, and in order to save the people that he loved, he allowed himself to become the world government's machine, cyborg. Going so far as to remove your own willpower, you would be unable to protect anybody that you love. So as soon as this occurs, anybody, the world government could do anything to anybody that they might be holding hostage. And Kuma would never know and never be able to act. If Kuma happened to be in a situation like that, the most prudent solution, aside from just getting captured, would be to follow the rules, essentially. You got me. Now I will not betray you ever. If I do ever, then obviously things will happen. So I really don't think that Kuma's situation is like that. But there would still need to be a reason for him to give up his memories. And the reason that has always made sense to me and other people is that Kuma is giving up his memories just so that he earns the trust of the world government. Because he is still playing his role as a secret agent, a member of the Revolutionary Army. Again guys, just a few days before all of his memories were removed, Kuma claimed to be a member of the Revolutionary Army. After Marineford, when Ivankov came to Dragon talking about Kuma and how he was no longer himself, Dragon said, "I also wish to speak with you of what has happened to Kuma." Dragon knows about Kuma. This news is unsurprising. Somehow, Kuma's actions are directly tied to the activities of the Revolutionary Army. The Revolutionary Army was okay with and accepted and maybe even planned for Kuma to give up his memories. Kuma as a pirate, as a Shichibukai, can only earn so much trust from the world government. The potential responsibilities of Kuma, the robot, the person without his memories and without any willpower, would be that much greater. And he would be much less suspicious. So the idea is that his memories and everything about Kuma has been taken for now, but will be returned. And if anybody can return Kuma's lost mind, then it would have to be Dr. Vegapunk. And if Vegapunk ends up doing that, then it would be basically confirmed, right? There would be very little way out of it. Vegapunk is a revolutionary. The Revolutionary Army would be counting on Vegapunk doing something for them. And even in Whole Cake Island, a thought such as this is even further justified because Vegapunk was an outlaw conducting research and was captured by the world government. In no way does it suggest that Dr. Vegapunk is a fan of the world government or is willingly working for them. And since we basically know nothing about Vegapunk the person aside from his interactions with Kuma, then him being supportive of the ideals of the revolutionaries is entirely possible. And I would say more supported than the contrary that he is an evil scientist working with the world government in order to make them stronger because that is what he wants. And so when you think of Vegapunk the revolutionary, a lot of other questions come to mind, a lot of other theories begin to materialize, such as if Vegapunk is working for the Revolutionary Army and the Pacifista are his creations and he controls their programming, then couldn't Vegapunk execute an Order 66? Order 66 from the Star Wars franchise, where the clone army, or in this case the Pacifista, turn on the people that they originally were working for. This would be the grand scheme of the Revolutionary Army. To take all of the technology and the science that Vegapunk has created, quote, for the world government, and it becomes their technology, it becomes their power. That's their play. And so guys, I want you to take all of this in. It's persuasive, right? It makes sense. You would say that this is probably the most arguable theory for what Vegapunk will do in the future, and it only leaves me asking one question. Isn't this just way too obvious? Shouldn't Vegapunk as a revolutionary be something that Oda would try harder to hide? Wouldn't the implications of Vegapunk being a revolutionary be something beyond our grasp because of how important it would be to the story? The pacifista turning on the world government and beginning to work with the revolutionary army, that is a big deal. That is a huge plot twist. A plot twist which is almost too easy to predict. In a recent interview that Sandman translated on Twitter, he revealed that Oda actually does request for his editors to give him popular One Piece theories. Vegapunk being a member of the Revolutionary Army is one of the most pervasive theories within the One Piece community, regardless of country borders. I find it really hard to believe that Oda has not heard of this theory. And Oda went on to say that he likes to hear of these theories so that he can do them better. He wants to create something that goes beyond our expectations. Vegapunk being a revolutionary is the vast majority of the community's expectation. So it makes me think, is this the kind of thing that Oda would have heard and would have envisioned a huge twist to this community expectation, this community theory, in a way in which maybe we could not predict? But in order to do this properly, he would need to stay true to the details already within the story and what these details would suggest or imply. I think that the implication that Kuma is friendly with Vegapunk is something that Oda may not be able to write around. And I think that following this train of thought, specifically with Kuma being willing to give up his memories, almost automatically suggests a relationship between Vegapunk and the revolutionaries. Vegapunk is in control of Kuma's memories, and I just cannot believe that Kuma would have willingly give up his memories unless they can be returned. Unless he can one day again work for and work with the Revolutionary Army, and continue to uphold his ideals. I believe that based on what Dragon said, what Kuma is doing is all part of the Revolutionary Army's plans. So if we are suspecting that this is too obvious, and maybe Oda intends on twisting the story in some way, maybe we can speculate that Vegapunk does have a relationship with the revolutionaries. He is working for the revolutionaries, as he was ordered to do by the world government, because Vegapunk is a double agent working for the world government. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you, you cannot justify this thought at the moment. As I said before, everything previously in this video is far more supported. The only reason to possibly believe that it will not occur is it just seems way too convenient. It seems way too out in the open and obvious at this moment. And so the real plot twist will be when Oda reveals Vegapunk to be a revolutionary, and the moment in which Vegapunk betrays them, leading to the Revolutionary Army's complete and total defeat. And I just want to throw something out here at the very end. If Vegapunk ends up being a revolutionary, wouldn't you think that that would give the Revolutionary Army too much power to compete with the world government, automatically getting their entire pacifista army? That's incredible. Flipping the switch on Kuma, who has perhaps complete access to every aspect of the world government, and maybe even MavisHdz, to steal their secret treasures, to get a hold of all of their secrets. Isn't that too powerful? But I don't think from the story itself we should suspect that the Revolutionary Army will be the ones to defeat the world government. Shouldn't that be Luffy? Doesn't it seem more likely that that would be what Luffy is responsible in accomplishing? Shouldn't Luffy face the world government at their strongest? Wouldn't the world government have to have an incredible counter to whatever the Revolutionary Army is planning on doing? I want to emphasize, guys, as far as Vegapunk's personality is concerned, we only have this one detail with Kuma to really go off of. And maybe a long history of conducting very, very questionable research. We even saw on Punk Hazard, remember Vegapunk, Punk Hazard, we see a chamber in which there have been people, prisoners, who have been experimented on. Vegapunk is the lead scientist. Doesn't Vegapunk love science itself? Maybe that is his sole motivation. And maybe the world government gives Vegapunk everything that he could ever want. Facilities, funds, staff, the best science in the world. Vegapunk can conduct this research into every aspect of human life while working with the world government. So maybe to deal with the revolutionary army, the world government asked Vegapunk to join the revolutionaries, to play his part, maybe suggest plans, so those plans could turn against them. And maybe Vegapunk did what he needed to in order to ensure that no suspicion would fall upon him, and just granted Kuma his one little request. And before we end this video, guys, I just want to make this clear. I know that this is a slippery slope when you start speculating based on just completely against what it is that the story is suggesting. And I do not think that this is something that you can do in every situation. I'm only saying that every single detail that we ever learn of Vegapunk adds up with him not being pro-world government. And at this time, for me, it is just suspicious. For something that I believe should be much more hidden. Or at the very least, much more confusing and harder to be sure of. But anyway, guys, I am very, very curious as to what you guys think about this, because if it wasn't clear from this video, I am torn. I'm torn in what it is that I think that the story is trying to tell me, and what it is that I'm feeling as far as speculations go, and how Oda has been approaching them. But yeah, guys, like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video, make sure to subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content, and as always, guys, have a wonderful day.